All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Ovaya Inspiración, and today we have a very interesting story with a thriving couple all the way from Tennessee, right? Tennessee now, living in Tennessee. All right, and it's Darrel, yeah, Darrel and Artèsia. So as you guys probably saw my thumbnail and my description, this couple has paid off $93,000 in 2 years and 5 months. How in the heck did you guys do that? But before we even get there, thank you guys for coming on. Before we even go into the story, I just want to say that this is amazing. I did see it was the Instagram post from the Dave Ramsey. I think it was, they posted it, and I'm like, oh snap, let me go watch it. And I saw it, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, you know. And I just had to message you guys, and I'm like, you know what? If they don't message me, it's all good. They don't know who I am, so let's just give it a shot. And you guys wrote back, so it was dope. So before we go in, can you guys just introduce yourself?
Yeah.
And tell us what you do and who you are and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm Darrel. I'm a Salesforce administrator. I'm also a photographer.
And I'm Artèsia. I go by Tay, so you guys may see that on some of our posts. And I'm a mental health therapist, and I'm his photography assistant sometimes.
True.
And I currently live in Texas. We're from Tennessee, though.
Awesome. That's what's up, guys. That's what's up. And you're originally from Texas, right? So
we're originally from Tennessee, from Memphis.
Okay, you're originally from Tennessee. Okay, I got it mixed up. Awesome. So, as I mentioned, I was very intrigued by your story, just by the headline in of itself before listening to the story. And I'm like, man, like, we need more couples like this. Young couples, can I ask, how old are you guys?
Both 30. I guess I
both 30?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome. I'm 35. My wife is 27. So we're in the 30s club. Well, except for my wife, but us three in the 30s club.
Almost.
Awesome. Do you guys have any kids?
No kids.
No kids yet. Cool. We have a lot of commonalities because we don't have kids yet either. We're actually purposely waiting, until we're like very close to becoming debt free.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Oh, you see, God knew what he was doing in all of this. Awesome. So, guys, tell me, what was all this debt about, and how did you guys tackle this down? Like, who started it, the idea of like, we need to pay off debt. We need to be debt free. Darrel. All right. So I'll let Darrel talk about it because he's the one who initiated. So, and then I want to hear Artèsia's response to when he first introduced you to it. So go ahead, Darrel.
Yeah. So the debt was pretty much student loans, credit cards, and cars. So we were doing a budget one day. It was right before we got married. We decided to join our finances. Decided to do a budget, and I looked at it and saw how much money we were actually putting out for debt. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I had been familiar with a few ways to tackle debt. So I came to those ideas to her. And in the beginning, it was kind of like, I'm not trying to do that. Like this, that's not what I'm trying to do with my money. But I had to promise her like travel and gifts and stuff like that. So that definitely helped us in the long run. So.
Yeah, I was. It wasn't that I was opposed to paying off debt. It was more so the student loan debt. Like when you have 60 conjoint, we had like $65,000 in debt.
Wait! I gotta pause it right there. My wife and I, we had $67,000 in debt when we got married. That's crazy. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So when you look at that, it's $65,000. It's like, no, how are we going to pay like all of that? So it was the student loans that I was supposed to, not the credit card, the cars. Those were smaller payments. So I'm like, okay, we can do that. But the student loans, I was just not here for that. So, yeah.
Now, did you feel that way when it comes to the student loan because it was just a normal thing for many Americans that was like, oh, you have student loan, you're gonna be with that until you die?
Absolutely. I can remember my mom like vividly telling me, no, those student loan, that student loan debt's going to the grave with you. And that was my mentality. Like that was our norm. So for him to challenge the norm was at first, I was like, oh, wow, what? But then I'm like, let's do it. We don't know anyone that does not have student loan debt. So let's do it.
Wow. Did you guys see the documentary that came out, Borrowed Future, exposing the dark truth of student loans?
Yeah.
Oh man, you need to see it. Like I was angry.
Yeah.
There's this one guy who had $110,000 in student loan, but because of the interest rate, he paid $125,000. That's insane. And you know what? That same guy, he was I think on one of the panels for the pre-screening of the documentary, and Dave Ramsey actually paid all of it, that him and his wife.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, right before the baby that's gonna be born next month. That's amazing.
Wow.
Yes, but I will not spoil anymore because you guys need to watch the rest of the film. But I feel you. When it comes to, I didn't have a big student loan. My wife is the one that had it, which is the last one, which is $20,000. But it's true. Like you feel like it's America. Student loans is normal. We're gonna be stuck with that until the day we die. 20, 30 years, 40 years. But that's a poor mindset to have.
Yep.
And it's because we are trained a certain way to think that is normal.
Right. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And rely on credit, and when we don't even realize about the interest rates and all those kind of things, and we live that way. You know what I'm saying? And we teach our kids to do the same thing, but no, we need to break that cycle, especially for our future kids, because we can't continue living like that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, look at the way the things are today. I mean, student loan right now, it went down from 1.7 trillion to 1.58, I think it is. But it's still the second highest debt in America. That's insane. Awesome. So, what was some things that you guys like agreed upon when it comes to paying off debt? Because listen, you guys are married. You guys had 3 years already in marriage, and I can only imagine if Darrel wanted to be the one to pay off debt, but you didn't want to take that route. I don't think it would have worked out. So how can you tell us how important that is for a married couple to come together in agreement to be on the same goal when it comes to being debt free?
I think that it is top priority. So for me, we surveyed couples in our family that are married, and we asked initially, before even about paying off debt, we asked originally about just finances. Like, how do you guys do your finances? And we got a range of answers back. And we decided we had to come up with our own way, because none of those ways were like the way that we wanted to do our finances. Parts of them were, but for the most part, I think even besides debt, just like finances, being on the same page with finances and trying to overturn the research that shows, financial crises and financial conflict being one of the major causes of divorce. Like, we don't want to be in that number, which on our page you'll see we talked a lot about that in the beginning, not wanting that being our driving force, not wanting to be that couple that doesn't make it because we can't get on the same page about finances. So I think finances first, and then once you're on the same page about finances, then paying off the debt kind of comes secondary to that.
Yeah, definitely. This is so important, because listen, I work a 9 to 5, and then that's Monday through Fridays, and then Monday through Thursdays after work, I go and do Uber and Lyft. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard. you know, but this is an agreement that my wife and I made, and I don't see her as much as I want to during the week because I leave early. Actually, she leaves earlier than me. She's a teacher. She leaves early in the morning. I leave. I don't come home till like 10:30. Sometimes she's already sleeping.
A small
You know,
sacrifice for
Big reward.
yeah.
exactly. Now I gotta admit though, before all of that, when I first started doing Uber and Lyft, I didn't have no schedule. I was just like wake up, and if I felt like doing it, okay, let me go do Uber and Lyft. Even if it was a Sunday after service, oh babe, I'm gonna go ahead and do Uber and Lyft. But I didn't know that I was not doing something good because I was neglecting her. You know what I'm saying? So thank God she brought it up to me, and you know, she was like, you know, we have to spend quality time, you know, you going off doing Uber and Lyft whenever you want to, and it's not good for us as a married couple, you know. So I told her, okay, then you give me the schedule. I didn't even make my schedule. And she was like, Monday through Thursday after work, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is for us.
I love it.
You know, so hey, it's better, right? It's better that way. Our marriage, even if, listen, as much as we want to get out of debt free, be out of debt, my marriage comes first. If that was getting in the way, I have to focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Because eventually things will work out once everything is in its right place. Priorities.
And that's a good point. Even before like getting on the same page, just finances, like getting on the same page with communication. Like her being able to say, hey, this isn't working. Like this is getting in the way of us and us building and connecting with one another. Like that's big. You know, that's not always the framework or the basis of the people having the courage to say that. So that's big.
Yeah, definitely. So communication is vital. I mean, with anything, not just finances, but this is especially finances because it's a big thing. You know, divorce rate high because of finances. I mean, that's part of it. You know, financial infidelity. Like one couple goes buying all these things and the other couple has no clue about it. Like, what's going on? We don't want that, you know. And especially as godly couples, we want to set examples to the world. You know what I'm saying? Especially to young people that are going to be getting married and are looking up to us. It's super, super important. Because at the end of the day, it's not for our glory, it's for the glory of God. And we know that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you guys something. What about budgeting? How did that work out for you guys?
So, in the beginning, it didn't. In the beginning, we butt heads because we had never done a budget together. We always did individual budgets, so we had different ways of budgeting. So once we went through Financial Peace University, we changed to a zero-based budget, which is basically budgeting out every single penny that you have coming in. So this was something that we weren't used to, and also working together with each other's money was an issue. So we had to work through that, but we also made an agreement in the beginning that what we bring to the table, we make sure that it's good for us, good for the marriage, and like both of us can agree before we make any type of big decisions or big purchases. So we always know what's about to happen or what's coming.
For me, the budget was hard, especially the first budget. Well, not the first budget, he kind of let me just play around. So he's like, we just have to make sure that we budget it all the way out to $0. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So the things that I was spending my money on before I was married, like pampering and traveling and shopping and all of that, he's like, yeah, okay, we can put a line item for that. So I had a little money for those things. And then once we like started hitting our debt hard, he's like, you know, we're going to take some of this off. I'm like, what? If you see me now, like I have no nails on, because I'm still in that habit, that mindset of, okay, we're on this journey towards becoming debt free. So I'm not going regularly. And, you know, it still hasn't sunk in for me that like, you can go and get your nails done. It's okay. Taking those things off of our budget was difficult for me. Like it was hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, especially if you've never done a budget before. And then you go ahead and sit down and make a budget and be like, what in the world? How do I do this? Or I'm scared, or I'm going to probably go over budget. And that's okay. I mean, the first 3 months, even now my budget, like I budget every month, but it's not perfect. Like I always go over a few dollars, or because we just like to eat a lot. but, but we're not going over like $100 and all that kind of stuff. Like no, we kind of mastered it compared to how we had it before. And I never budgeted until I turned 32 years old, until right after we got married.
Yeah.
So which is the next point I want to bring up, which is super important. Have growing up, did you guys individually, were you guys taught financial literacy from your parents or whoever raised you?
So for the most part, I believe I was at a high level. I was taught a lot of what you're supposed to do, but not so much the why. So the gap for me is, if I guess I don't know the why, then I'm not going to keep it up. So I knew those things I wasn't supposed to do, like get a credit card and everything like that, but I didn't really know the why behind it. So I did it anyway and ended up in a hole. So
yeah.
And for me, we didn't really talk about finances. I think my mom was strict on, that's not something I want kids to worry about. So we didn't really talk about, what things were financially or state of things financially. As an adult now, I can look back and say, oh, wow, that was probably a time where my mom was, struggling. But as a child, I was sheltered from that, from knowing anything about money problems or financial anything about money. So I have to say, no, I was not.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I grew up, with immigrant parents from Dominican Republic. They came here, had us, me and my two brothers, but never. The closest thing I've gotten was from my father was to save up a certain amount of money to buy my first car. That's about it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know they had credit cards, but they were responsible, but they never told us about getting one or not getting one. So I grew up not knowing anything about finances, right? And making horrible decisions. And on top of that, I always spent money on food. And the reason why I spent money on food was because it was a way to alleviate my pain and bitterness that I had towards my mother growing up for a very long time. Like that was my form of depression, my form of suicide. Eat and then sleep all day. You know what I'm saying? So people don't realize why they have the money habits the way they do. You know what I'm saying? They try to figure it out, or they just never think about it, but it stems from your childhood. You know what I'm saying? Whether the parents fought about money and then you had a different view about money and you just whatever, or you grew up in a home that didn't know anything about money, or you grew up in a home that was very bougie and you were just a spender, but being broke. You know what I'm saying? And I always quote this person. So I don't know if you've seen her, but I think it was last year. I had interviewed a young lady named Jacent Gems. And she was also on the Dave Ramsey show or whatever. She paid off all by herself $93K in 3 years. And we were talking about being bougie. And she said, listen, you can be bougie, but be bougie on a budget.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's nothing wrong with being bougie. Just plan it out, budget it. You know what I'm saying? If not, you're just going to have your money, fly away like if it had wings. That's why it's called every dollar, right? We budget every single dollar, every single penny, which is super important. And most people don't budget for different reasons. They're scared, they're lazy, they don't know what to do. They're afraid to find out how much money they're actually spending on things they don't need to be spending on. It's a whole psychology behind this. So I'm glad that you guys, your eyes were opened and all that stuff. But how did you find out about Dave Ramsey? I asked Darrel, since he's the one that initiated the whole journey.
Yeah, so I think that it's funny. As a kid, I think my dad used to listen to Dave Ramsey, but like I was a kid, so I wasn't paying attention to that. But at one point, maybe in my early 20s, I Googled ways to pay off student loans. I came across his name, and then my mother-in-law bought me Total Money Makeover. So I read that probably back in 2015, and then yeah, she was summer. So back in 2015, and did absolutely nothing with it. Yeah, so it was kind of like I guess I wasn't really motivated to actually jump on it and actually tackle the debt at the time. And then I finally got a hold of LPU, Financial Peace University, through our church when we did marriage counseling.
So during premarital counseling, our pastors, like, he was stressing the importance of connecting with mentors within the church that have kind of the same ideals as you.
Yeah.
So we told him that we were looking forward to, making sure that our marriage didn't end because of financial stress. So they gifted us a scholarship to Financial Peace University. And through that, we met other couples that were on the same journey, and just kind of, they were definitely our biggest cheerleaders for this whole process.
Wow, interesting. So in the 3 years being married, can you count how many times you got into money fights?
Now, you just said you have monthly budget meetings. We do the same. So how many? What's that?
How many months?
How many months is that?
12 times 3 is that 36. So.
Yeah.
Or how many times? Like, because I can count how many times we've gotten like money fights, and it's definitely no more than 10. And it wasn't even like big money fights. It was just more of like accountability issues. Like, for example, I'm the nerd in this marriage. I'm the one who budgets. I'm the one who takes care of the finances. But when I budget, I bring her in, and she tells me she's gonna be going to the salon and all these kind of stuff. But there were sometimes I'll be like, okay, we gotta chill down on the food. I'm eating out. But then after I say that, 2 weeks later, you'll see me buying some food. And then she has to like, do you remember when you said da da da? She has to hold me accountable because I did say what I said. We didn't get into like a big fight, but there was some moments that she had to keep me in check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but we never had anything crazy.
Yeah, we've never had like any big crazy financial fights that I can remember. But as far as like just talking about finances, like even after 3 years, talking about finances is that's stressful. Having to hold yourself accountable, or having to figure out the finesse of having to hold your partner accountable. Like, financial conversations are difficult in general. Yeah. So no big crazy fights because someone's, bought this or bought that. It's more so like, okay, we got to talk about this money again. And we do it every month. We have a budget planning meeting for the next month. So that is it's just stressful within itself.
Yeah, we actually do 2 a month.
We do 2
We do 2 a month now. Yeah, because we get paid bi-weekly, so we try to do it by paycheck. Because we in the middle of the month, things change. We want to be holding ourselves accountable, making sure that we're treating the money like we should.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we both get paid bi-weekly, but it seems like we get paid every week because the day that when I don't get paid, she gets paid. So it's like we're still getting money each week. You know what I'm saying? So it makes it easier for us when it comes to that. We already know what we're gonna put towards debt and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when it comes to paying off debt, I'm assuming you guys use the Debt Snowball, right?
Yep.
All right. So did you guys know about the debt avalanche?
So I had read about it, but it was probably around the same time that I learned about the Debt Snowball.
Okay, cool. Because it's pretty much the same principle as far as like it's a plan to pay off debt, and the avalanche is pretty much you're listing your debt from highest to smallest, and you're attacking the highest interest rate first, and whatever the case may be. And for some people, it works, right? But statistically speaking, I have read. It's funny. Let me highlight this comment. So this brother right here, my friend. So I came up with a plan for him to pay off debt, and I told him about the debt. I told him both plans, but I emphasized more of the Debt Snowball. And for some reason, he decided to go the opposite way, and he did Debt Avalanche, and he did it. I mean, he still has debt, but he was able to pay off, the highest debt first. But what I want to bring out is that many people, it's like eating a whole elephant in one shot, trying to focus the highest debt first. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody can handle that. You know what I'm saying? That's why, psychologically speaking, when you pay off the smallest debt first, it creates something in you. It's like your dopamine level rises and it motivates you, and it creates faster wins, and then you go on to the next debt.
And it's just like positive reinforcement in itself. Like, it shows I can do this. If I try to pay off the largest debt first, that could take me, I don't know what it feels like to win with debt if I start with that largest debt. But if I pay a small one, it's like, oh yeah, all right, I can do this. And then you get your momentum going, and it seems attainable when you pay off those small ones first.
Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to, I have a question from our audience, but before I go to her, as far as doing the Debt Snowball, like, was there any challenges with that for you guys?
So I would say the first one being Murphy's Law that Dave Ramsey always talks about. So I paid off my car, and I don't know, it was like 2 weeks later, maybe my car like completely shut off on me, and I was so I had to take the money. I had to take the emergency fund money that luckily we had because of the plan, and use it to repair my car. And it was like the first thing. It's like, man, like I just paid this out. Why are you doing me like this? But,
and that continued to happen. It's like we would pay off the debt. We'd be like on cloud 9, like, yes, thank you. And then something happens every time. But I think it's the why or the end result that kept us motivated. Like, we had to continue to remind ourselves why we're doing this. So why is it that we're trying to pay off this debt? And reminding ourselves that helped us to continue to move forward.
Interesting.
Any other challenges for paying it off? You seem like you know something. What do you remember? Like, you remember that I'm not saying.
All right, cool.
My challenges, I don't think that I had specific challenges while paying off the debt. It was just more so the sacrifice of not giving the way that I was used to giving. Like, I'm the oldest of 4. So I was used to birthdays and Christmas and all that. I'm just like showering my siblings and showing them how much of a great big sister I am. And while doing this process, I had to tailor back on that, which we've talked about before. Like, we had to put a cap on what we were going to spend for gifts. And for me, I'm like, oh my God, what? You mean I can only spend this amount on a gift for someone or to give to someone? And that was the biggest challenge for me. Not to give the way that I wanted to give or that I was used to giving.
Everybody got the same amount.
Everyone got the same amount. And I'm like, you want me to give my mom and whoever this is the same money?
That's tough. For real. So I have Daniela here. She said, love this. How do you keep the motivation going for so long? I know the end results, of course, but as a beginner, what keeps you going?
So we made sure, we knew our why, and we established our why in the beginning, and we have a shared note that we wrote down our why in, so that anytime that we might be struggling, we can go to it and refer to our note and see and remind ourselves of the why. Another thing that we did was, in between each debt that we paid off, we incorporated a small reward. So we knew that, okay, we can look forward to this after we paid off this debt. So that was the biggest motivation factors on my end.
Same. Remembering that why, having it written down. So on those days where it's like, oh my God, I cannot do this, or I can't do that, or I'm giving up this, or I'm giving up that, going back to that note saying, okay, this is our why. This is why we're doing this. And then those small successes, like starting our Instagram page to kind of help let people follow us on our journey, also kept us motivated because we got all these people, some of these people that don't even know us, either holding us accountable. Sometimes we say, all right, this month we budgeted to spend, have a $50 date. Like, do you guys think we can do it? So we would post the receipt if we went over one time. And the people are like, no, you guys said, why did you do this? Why did you do that? So we had some accountability partners. That was really good. Having someone that's going to hold you accountable is like great.
Awesome. Definitely. I like what she said. She says, great idea of small rewards. I feel like with the impact of social media, to be honest, it feels like, I work so hard, but it's real. I mean, it's real. And I want to talk about something very important, but when it comes to the rewards, and I want to add, and I know you guys can agree to this, is is being motivated, being around like-minded people, probably listening to, I don't know about you, but I listen to Debt Free Screams like all the time as a motivator. I get like, then I start crying like a little baby. And I'm like, dang, if this single mother with 3 kids can do it, I could do it. You know what I'm saying?
You put yourselves in their shoes, and it's kind of like, I need to be up there. I can see myself up there. So,
yeah, exactly. So I want to talk about the pandemic before I go to another question from one of my friends. The pandemic last year, well, the start of it, it was hella crazy for a lot of people, financially speaking, and of course, emotionally and physically and all that. But I can say for me, financially, it was the best year in my whole entire working life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I work for a nonprofit, and a lot of nonprofits didn't do so well.
Mm-hmm.
But we did so well as a nonprofit. And I work with middle school and high school students all over South Florida. And we focus on healthy relationships and making healthy decisions and avoiding sexual risk behaviors but holistically, relationship when it comes to your money, relationship when it comes to your friend. We talk a lot about friendship, dating, and love, all of that stuff. And the community need that, you know what I'm saying? And all the kids were online. So like, we were rewarded so much financially for us to keep going, to the point that, and doing Uber, I stopped doing Uber for 3 months because my wife was like, no, this is crazy. We don't know what's gonna happen. So I was like, cool, And then 3 months I picked it up again. I was making mad bread. Like, sometimes I'll make like 180 in 5 hours. That's not normal.
Yeah.
So we paid off, just last year alone, we paid off 1 car, my student loan, and 2 credit cards. Pretty much, we paid off about $28,000 in debt last year.
Mm-hmm.
So for you guys, how were you guys financially last year? Because I don't know when you guys became debt free, but how was that last year?
Yeah. So
we became debt free in June of this year.
Mm-hmm.
But the pandemic, I think, more so had a toll on us mentally than it did financially. So thinking about, okay, we're doing our snowball and we're putting all of this money towards student loans, which are paused, right? Like, we're not incurring any interest on them. So that's paused, but we're still putting this towards this thing, not knowing what tomorrow holds. So mentally, it was hard for us to continue to do that, but we did. We pushed forward, and we were supposed to be done paying off debt next year.
Yeah, I think we had it set for December 2022 originally.
But with the pandemic and us basically being forced to be in the house, all of the things that went with the pandemic, like, we were able to pay it off sooner.
I think one of the big positives, if you can say, from it is the whole pausing the student loan.
Mm-hmm.
So by not having to pay the interest on our student loans, by the time the pandemic started, that's pretty much where we were. We just had the 2 student loans left. So having to not pay that extra money definitely helped us to like catapult to go ahead and finish.
Yeah. But the pandemic was more of like mental stress. Like, we lost family members due to COVID-19. We weren't able to celebrate like big milestones with family members or close friends because of the pandemic. So it was also that mental strain and feeling socially isolated that had the biggest strain. But our finances were great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy, and I know, again, we're saying this with being sensitive to others that did not have a great year financially, or even more physically or emotionally or whatnot. But at the same time, we can give the glory to God because He is in control of everything.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because you guys, my wife and I, we could have been down the hole just like many other people as well. But His purpose was different for us, and we can be that example to motivate and encourage others to follow into that footsteps, because I remember not having any debt. I didn't think about it. I didn't have to think about it because I didn't have debt, you know what I'm saying? Until I got into debt, and something that I could have paid off in 2 years lasted me 10 years because I didn't know anything about financial literacy. You know what I'm saying? And I sometimes I will feel regret to a degree, and I'm like, dang, I'm 35 years old. Like, I could have had a kid now. I mean, I could still have a kid while being in debt, but I could have gone farther in life. But hey, God knows all things. And as long as I'm living for Him and proclaiming the gospel and all that kind of stuff, that goes beyond any financial burdens that people have. All those stuff are just add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So really, really good. I think you guys are fine for that. So awesome. So how did you guys come up with extra money to pay off debt when you had rent to pay, etc.?
So we both had our side hustles. So I had money from photography. Did I drive in?
I don't think so.
No. I sold items that we had that we weren't using anymore.
So I started a planning company. So we also moved during the pandemic from Tennessee to Texas. But I started a planning company. So I was doing little small planning events or gatherings for people. So outside of selling stuff, we also had side hustles where we brought in additional money to help us pay off the debt. And really, to be honest, the side hustle money was more so for us because we're putting all of our excess money from our 9-to-5 jobs towards the debt. So the side hustle money was for us to do those small rewards in between and all of that.
Nice. That's good. Listen, nowadays, side hustles.
Multiple streams of income.
And even though we're done with the debt, like we still enjoy, extra money. So you might catch us doing some side hustle stuff even still now.
Yeah, definitely. So now, how long? Okay, so now that you guys are debt free, does it feel weird?
Yeah, so it really hasn't hit us. It's been months now at this point, but it really hasn't hit us. I don't know why. I don't know when it will, but like it just still feels weird. I think the other day she said, "Yeah, because we gotta pay off this debt or something like that." And I was like, "No, we're done. Like, yeah, we're finished." Like, so it's like the trauma of it all.
The trauma, absolutely. I think going on Dave Ramsey's show and doing the debt-free screen was probably more surreal than even like pressing that final payment of zero base, like we don't have any debt now. I think that was more surreal, but I think even today we're like, it hasn't really hit us that we have no debt. Like no.
That's very interesting. Like, even though, so I did a video today. I went to the park early in the morning. I actually recorded 3 videos. And now I have to work on the editing and stuff, whatever. One of them is done already, but I haven't posted yet. And I'm like, I mentioned it, like, it feels like I'm debt free, but I know I'm not, because from $67,000 2.5 years ago, paying off $44,000 and now only having $20,000 left, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It feels like I don't feel stressed. I don't feel stressed anymore, even though I still have 20K.
The stress is definitely not there anymore. The stress of having to, pay off the snowball. But I just don't think I think I'm probably gonna like boohoo cry when I do realize, like, I'm just gonna randomly just cry when I realize it.
I'm gonna come home, walk through the door, and she's just on the couch crying.
We don't have any debt.
That's what's up. Before I miss this, can you just share if somebody wants to follow your Instagram?
Okay, yeah.
Our Instagram is __ what the price.
Or as a matter of fact, Daniela, if you go to my Instagram, I did post a flyer or whatever for this live stream, and I did tag them, so you can easily find them there as well. So you can go there.
2 underscores. So __ what the price.
What the price. Awesome. Thank you. So now that you have no debt, what do you guys plan on doing?
Anything we want.
We're currently in the process of building a new home. So that's probably also why it has not really.
Hold on. You just said building a new home, a home?
Yeah.
I think, I hesitated to say this earlier because we like I mentioned, we have some commonalities, you and my wife, or just as couples. Now you just keep mentioning more stuff. I I definitely need to connect you to my wife because, again, mental health counseling. She's big on that. And she's always talking about we should build a home, but I'm always saying no, I don't want to. But I don't know nothing about it. It's just me, like, dang, isn't that more work or whatever? But that's a whole other story. But that, oh, look, she's online right now. Look, see, she's driving and she's listening. So, babe, since you're listening, she just said, oh, I asked the question, what are they planning on doing now they're debt free? And one of the things that they're building or planning to build their home. So there you go. I have to connect you to my wife, and you guys can talk on the phone and talk forever. But yes, go ahead.
So that's what we're currently doing, and I think that's also why the being debt free hasn't really like sunk in, because we started that process soon after we were debt free. Like we're renting right now, but when we were in Tennessee, we had a home. So that transition from being, in an apartment, in a home, and then moving to an apartment was uncomfortable. A blessing still, but uncomfortable for us. So we went right into, we've got to get back into, having our own space. So that may be another reason why the debt free has not really sunk in for us.
Interesting. So I know that I'm not going to say most, but I know there's certain people that they'll be like, yes, I want to be debt free. It's going to take me all these years and this and that. But we know that being debt free is not the end goal. Being debt free is just a short-term goal, whether it's 7 years or 2.5 years. You know what I'm saying? Because there's more than just to be debt free. All right, we want to have a future. We want to have a retirement fund, and especially for our teacher kids, you guys want to have a home, all those kind of things. So what is, like, have you heard anybody say that, where they say, oh, I just want to be debt free and that's it? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I haven't heard that being the end goal for anyone. I know that most
in our circle.
Yeah, in our circle. I know that for the most part, people come and we have conversations. The ultimate goal is to become wealthy, and not have to worry about anything. Become financially free as a whole. So including investing, getting more real estate, and different things like that. So I know this.
And setting up a future for our kids. So that's more so. So having generational wealth and building generational wealth is more so a conversation within our circle, not just like getting rid of debt. Because honestly, being on this journey can also be stressful. We just had to go home to Tennessee for the weekend. Of course, we had to rent a car. We don't use credit cards. So having to rent a car that, like, we get up there and we're like, here's our debit card or cash or whatever you want, but we don't have a credit card to give you. And the lady's like, yeah, well, you can't rent from here. It's a no. Like, you can't do it here. So even little things like that is stressful, where it's like, like, I can probably buy some of these cars, but I can't rent one from you because I don't have a credit card.
That's crazy. What company was this?
Company.
Well, I'm asking because it can't be Enterprise, because I rented cars with my debit card from Enterprise, even though they want you to use your credit card. They just gotta hold like a $200, and then they return it back. Okay,
the company go to Enterprise.
Yes, and we normally use Hertz. Like, that's normally what we use, but we use someone else this time.
All right.
To tell the world.
I'm still a little upset about that. So.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, that's super important that your end goal is not even about being debt free. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, we're all Christians here, right? Our end goal in life is not even about finances. That's a big part of it, because everything we do almost in life has to deal with money. But our end goal is really heaven. Right? Our end goal is, like the Bible said, the chief end of man is to glorify God. Simple as that. Everything else comes after.
And a part of that, the end goal being heaven, is while we're here, being good stewards of the money that God has blessed us with. So that's just a step, in a step along the way. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, stewardship. Oh man, like as a believer, like we should be better than the world when it comes to stewardship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We should be in the forefront of all these things happening. We should be the one helping out the widows and all this stuff in our church. It's not the government. Yeah, we can receive some assistance, but we're the one that should be in the forefront. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And that was another one of our whys. We want to be able to give like we want to, and not to be held back because we have to pay off a credit card or a car or whatever the case may be. So
Yeah,
those are big pushes.
definitely, definitely. So, how did your faith in Christ play a big part in this journey?
So it was many nights that we just had to pray and put it in God's hands. Like we would have that conversation, like, all right, we can't worry about this. We're just gonna pray for the best outcome, and whatever God wants, that's what will happen.
And we changed the way that we prayed too. I think one line that we added into our prayer was, Lord, we ask that your will align with our desires. So when it came, we knew that we were doing what we thought, is the work of God. So asking that what he has already planned, what he already knows is going to happen, aligns with, this financial plan that we have for our own lives. And I will say about 99% of the time, that was it. And that solidified it for us that we're doing the right thing. And when it did work out, that solidified for us that that was not what we should have been trying to do with the money that God has loaned us.
Amen, amen. So that means I'm gonna have to have a burden on you to pray for me, because I drive all the time because of Uber. Well, first of all, I drive an hour to go to work. Sometimes it can last an hour and 20 minutes because traffic in Miami is the worst. Well, probably Cali, but Miami's like right there. But like I think about something, it doesn't weigh me down, but sometimes I think about it to the point where I just want to cry, and I'm just like, God, I just want to be debt free, so I don't have to be driving no more. Is I have a higher risk of getting into an accident. And if you ever been to Miami, or if you know anything about Miami drivers, they suck.
Yeah.
They don't know how to drive out here. Florida's like top 5 in the whole country that has the most accidents. It's just bad. Like I'm like, man, I don't want to. Nobody hit me, and there's been times that cars almost hit me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's a burden on you guys. Please pray to me. Pray for me on that.
Take it on.
Absolutely.
Amen. 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 So, as we're getting close to ending, we got like 10 more minutes left. I don't want to hold you guys off, but is it better to build than to buy a home? Because I don't know the answer to this. This is more information for me then.
So with that, I would say it's better to build so I would say that we're going through a company that builds homes pretty much custom for you. So they give you the floor plan and everything like that. You just get to pick out your insides and outside appearances and stuff like that. So we like that better because we get the house pretty much custom to how we like it. We also don't have to deal with any type of bidding wars. We get warranties that last for a year or certain years, a number of years. So that's also a piece that we don't have to worry about. It's pretty much like less stressful.
For us, it was less stressful for sure. But I say do the research and do what's best for your financial, your mental health. But for us here in Texas, we have all these, Darrel mentioned bidding wars, where a house may be $200,000, but then you have someone else comes in and is like, oh no, I'll pay $500,000 for the house. So of course, it's going to go to that person. So we eliminated all of that because mentally we just could not deal with the strain of debt. So outside of even getting like the custom stuff done, it just was better for our mental health to build.
Financially, personally, we have seen better equity come from the home in a shorter amount of time than to just buying a house that was already established.
So we built our home that we had in Tennessee, and we were in it for 3 years. Yeah, and the equity was great.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you guys planning to have kids?
Yes. Yeah. Now that we're debt free, we got 2 things that we want to enjoy first. But yeah, it's on the list.
We'll come back on you. People are waiting for us to have kids, so we'll come back on your show to make our announcement when we're having.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? I feel so much better now because I have not. And again, and I always make say this in my videos, and when I talk to people, I'm like, yeah, we want to have a baby after we become debt free. And I always make a disclaimer: there's nothing wrong to have a child if you're in debt. You know what I'm saying? But that's just our personal choice. But I have not met anybody or any couple that has that same mindset. So you guys make me feel so much better now.
And most of our friends are having babies like right now. So that was kind of, for a minute, I went through this phase of like, oh, I want to have a baby right now. Everyone's having a baby. And then I'm like, yeah, no. How about we borrowed their baby?
Yeah. Calling our friends like, bring your baby over right now.
That's right. That's right. Oh man, that is so good. Oh man, hearing this story of you guys young, right, and just thriving is just amazing, because you know, people like you are breaking cycles, breaking barriers, going against the trend, going against what this country is talking about, right? I do want to ask 2 more questions, and this one is a very, very controversial one. And this one is always 2 sides to it, always people on one side, people on the other side. But the topic of credit cards, you know, we hear, oh, I can use it just in case of an emergency, or for the travel points, or for this or for that. Now, we can't agree that there are people who are super responsible and they master it and they know how to beat the system. they exist. But to be honest, most people don't.
Yep.
So what do you guys think about all of that, even if they're quote unquote responsible?
So we preach personal finance a lot. So we are never going to say our way is the way. But for us, cutting up the credit cards, not using the credit cards was what was best for our personal finances. As far as, you know, I'm just going to use it for emergencies. We have an emergency fund. So we don't need credit cards for emergency because we've already saved and put money aside for emergencies. And then the points and all of that, I'll let Darrell speak to that, because now that we are debt free, I am like, okay, maybe we could use it for regular, you know, gas or travel, or, you know, because I do feel like now that we've paid off our debt, we are more responsible than we were, you know, before we started. But we have not agreed on if we're going to reincorporate that or not. That is something that is enticing for sure.
Yeah.
So I kind of go back and forth with it, because like she said, the points are enticing. Like, it seems nice, but I also know that it's marketing tactics as well. So you get in there, you spend more money, but I got a free blah blah blah. Like, you know, whatever. You still spent this money and like, I don't know. I know that in the beginning we weren't disciplined enough to handle credit cards. So just to kind of like completely avoid that again would be nice for me. Also, the piece of like, even listening to Dave Ramsey, he talks about how he interviews millionaires, and that's not what they have achieved wealth, like credit cards. So, you know, I'm kind of on the top of, you know, people that's done it before. What's the best way to go? So, but yeah, so I kind of go back and forth with it.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm in the same way. Again, like, if somebody tells me they have a credit card, obviously I'm not gonna force them to be like, you shouldn't get a credit card, you're going to hell. Like, none of that. but I tell them, like, listen, this is what I'll say. Most people, and I'm not saying you are most people, but most people, they don't succeed when they have credit cards. And if you're gonna have a credit card, make sure that you use your credit card like if it's a debit card. Meaning, whatever you spend every month based on your budget, you know, your bills that you have to pay, this and that, make sure you pay that back. Like right away, or at the closing date. Not even the due date, the closing date.
Before they end.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. Because it's absolutely no point in getting a credit card if you're gonna let interest. You know, you're basically, you know, paying people for their money. Yeah, so it's like
exactly. So true. So I actually have one more before my last one. Sorry. Now that you guys became debt free, how did you guys celebrate? besides going to the Ramsey Solutions, the free studio. But how do you guys celebrate? Or maybe you're piling up more money to celebrate big. I don't know.
Yeah. So I would say that it's kind of a 3-part celebration almost. So the first thing we did was we went out to a really nice dinner, something that we kind of deprived ourselves of during the whole process.
Wow.
We did not eat out.
We hadn't it out. We had always cooked our food at home. So be able to go out to eat, it was good. We made sure it was a very nice dinner, dressed up nice just to feel good about it and everything. And then even got appetizers and drinks and stuff like that. So, so that was the first part. The second part was to go on the Dave Ramsey show, do the debt-free screen, kind of add that closure to the whole thing. And the third part is, I'll let you speak to this.
So we're going on a nice trip. We're going on a trip with our friends to celebrate. So it's a group trip, other couples that are like-minded, either, done with this journey or on this journey. We've invited them to go out of the country with us, and we're going to celebrate together at the end of the year.
Okay. What country?
We're going to St. Martin.
Ooh, nice. I know you guys are going to enjoy with not having to think about that.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So as we end this live stream, what is something that, I don't know, a message, if you can leave behind somebody who were in your shoes, or somebody just struggling and feels hopeless when it comes to, becoming debt free and they don't know what to do, or that kind of stuff. What is something that you would leave to them?
Okay. So I'll go first. So the biggest thing is it's possible. You can do it. You create a plan, abide by that plan. You will mess up. Like, you're going to have shortcomings. You're going to fail at some things, but as long as you keep going, make sure that you see the end, see the light at the end of the tunnel. It can be done. You can do it. Stay motivated.
And for me, I think it's a mindset shift of believing that you can do it, but putting yourself in that image of what you feel like wealth is or financial freedom is. Whatever that was for you, remove that image and put yourself there. And then you're not trying to reach someone else's goal. You're looking to reach, your own goal. So switching that mindset to, I can do this. I don't have to follow in the same footsteps that others before me have fallen into. I can change my family tree. And once you believe that, like, you'll fight to achieve it.
Remember your why.
Yeah.
Remember your why. Awesome. Well, guys, this was very interesting. Thank you for sharing your story. And it's not just your story, it's the story of many people that are going through this journey, like myself and my wife. And soon you'll be hearing my story. And you're gonna be seeing my story in Tennessee as well next year. Because that's what we plan to do, and go travel out there to go do that free screen. But now it was a pleasure. Hopefully we can keep in touch. As a matter of fact, as I end this live stream, don't go nowhere, because my wife, I just got notifications that she just parked, so maybe you can meet her as she comes in. All right. So, guys, everybody else in the chat, thank you for chiming in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, share it, like the video, follow them, or just go on YouTube and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna put their video or their section of the video, that free screen, in the description box, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So with that being said, peace.